So today we're going to talk about the 7 non-sexual desires men usually hide from women. And by the way, everything I'm about to share in this video goes both ways. Women want the same things, men want the same things. And I know my title is geared for women to watch, but let me just say it goes both ways. So I actually saw this title on a contemporary site. His name is Bernardo Mendez. And I briefly watched the first couple minutes of his video. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to create my own version of this. And there are some similarities and there are some differences in what we're about to share. Now, we have to differentiate between the physical need most men have and women is to be physically intimate with someone. This is a strong need from a biological perspective. Although as we age, for those of us in midlife, and I always say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement. So most of my audience is between the ages of 42 and 69, although I work with women younger and I certainly work with women older. Why I'm bringing this up is as we age, there are different needs associated in our lives versus those that are pre-baby making years that are driven to most likely choose mates based on the capacity to make babies and raise a family. And for those of us in midlife, it's more about can two families potentially blend together? This is one of the challenges those of us in midlife have. And a lot of dating advice, a lot of dating rhetoric is based on a younger demographic. And what I talk about is a little bit more geared for those of us that are in this space. So men are driven biologically from a physical perspective. It's no doubt you've heard this phrase, men fall in love through sex and women give sex so they can fall in love. Okay. Now, it's not 100% truth, but there's some truth to that. But those men who are actually emotionally grown up have more desires than the physical needs of a relationship. Now, let me repeat that. Emotionally grown up men. If you're not familiar with my chart of the 3 people actively dating, please forgive the coffee stain. There are what's known as the users, which is about 20% of the population, the spenders, and the grower builders. The spenders are about 60%, and this is not a fact, it's merely an opinion, okay? Now, those users, those are the people that are, those are the love bombers, the players, those are the women who are entitled, they're seeking short-term gain. Those are the users, roughly about 20%. Now, that middle column, that's 60% of spenders. They want companionship, connection, and sex, but they don't really have a strong urge or capacity to be in a committed relationship. Usually their life is in some sort of chaos. They're going through some emotional problems. And those grower builders, those are the men and women who are emotionally grown up. They have their act together. They sincerely want a significant relationship. Why I'm bringing this up and why this is so critically important to understand is you have to differentiate between 80% of the male population and female population that are either those users or spenders versus those who are grower builders. They have the capacity, they have the desire, they have a long-term mating strategy. What they seek in a relationship is completely different than those in the short-term mating strategy. See, the short-term mating strategy is a very transactional strategy. This is a lot of the red pill advice. They're really, those people that give advice in the red pill community are oftentimes focused on the transaction. Men are the provider protectors, and women's responsibility is to provide sexual favors for that provider protector. This is a lot of this narrative, but they wrap it up into this nice, pretty bow, but it's still a transactional type of relationship. It's a very unconscious way of approaching relationships. What I'm going to share, these 7 things, are for more of those emotionally grown up men. I do want to sidebar for a second. I was just thinking of the TV show Friends. Did anyone watch the TV show Friends? If you did, hit that like button. But does anyone remember Monica and Chandler? Now, they were friends first before they were physically intimate. They established much of what I'm about to share. So what I'm going to share are the principles of what created a circumstance that by the time they had physical intimacy with one another, their relationship took off. And physical intimacy is an important component for a healthy, happy relationship. In fact, I want to be clear with everybody. For men, sex is part of the decision-making process for commitment. Let me repeat that. This is really important to understand. Sex is part of the decision-making process for men to commit to someone. And since our first non-sexual desire that men have centers around what I call the second and third level of commitment. So there's 3 levels to commitment in my point of view. Level 1 is the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. The agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. See, this is where a lot of relationships exist today in a space of agreements between the two, but they're not really going any deeper, which I'm about to share with you, the level 2 and 3. Now, most everybody that find themselves in agreement with monogamy exclusivity are in what known as casual relationships. This is a step up from the hookups. This is a step up from the friends with benefits. This is a step up from the situationships, those non-labeled relationships. When people agree to monogamy and exclusivity, they hit the first layer, which is typically a casual relationship. There should be a label associated to it with boyfriend and girlfriend, even those of us in our 50s, 60s, and even 70s. Because until you've reached the second and third level of commitment, you haven't really established much. So what is this non-sexual desire for those emotionally grown-up men? They want women in their lives that are level 2 and level 3. Now, level 2 is teammates with one another, teammates with one another. Do we operate as a team together? This is really critically important. Have we integrated into each other's lives? This might mean going to family events together. This might attend work events together. This might be acting as a partnership with one another in your life. Do you operate as teammates? See, a lot of people are experiencing what I call entertainment type of relationships. They get together, they entertain one another in somewhat of a transactional way, and then they go back to their respective homes. They haven't integrated into each other's lives as teammates. That's the second level of commitment. Now, the third level of commitment, all in. Damn the torpedoes, we're going down in the ship together. In other words, good or bad, sickness and health, death do us apart. See, a lot of women are seeking that all-in relationship, but they're choosing those men who are either spenders or users who are incapable of anything more. As I said earlier, their life is oftentimes in some level of chaos. They might be emotionally wounded from their childhood or adult traumas, which we're going to talk about in a little more detail today. They have adult traumas that makes it very difficult for them to lean into an all-in type of relationship. But that grower builder, he wants a teammate. He wants an all-in partner in his life, and that's his first non-sexual desire. And these are in no particular order. I should have a caveat here. Let me pause here for a second, back to this teammates and all-in commitment. You have to recognize that there's a big difference between men and women who have a short-term mating strategy and a long-term mating strategy. A short-term mating strategy, as I said earlier, is based on the entertainment. It's based on attraction and entertainment with one another. That grower builder is going to ask you more serious questions very early on to determine compatibility. This is usually a man or woman who has a secure attachment style. If you're not familiar with the book, Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, I highly recommend reading this. People who have an anxious or avoidant attachment style oftentimes can unconsciously sabotage a relationship because they haven't done the inner work to heal their childhood wounds and adult traumas. This is why I recommend everybody to get my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. There's a link below to get a copy of my book right here in the description. Had to make a plug for it. Okay, so just recognize that both avoidance and anxious can sabotage relationships, but that's for another conversation. The second non-sexual desire a man seeks is trust. Trust in a relationship. This is the ability to be vulnerable with your partner. But trust, well, let me retract that for a second. Trust isn't just about fidelity, as an example. Trust is, and that's an important component of it, but trust is, does this person have my best interest at heart? Do I have their best interest at heart? Do they have my best interest in heart? That's what the foundational piece of trust. In other words, your win is my win is your win. And within that is that capacity to be emotionally vulnerable with your partner. See, men who are emotional grown-ups, men who are those grower builders, they seek an emotional connection to go along with their physical connection. They seek a heart-on to go with their heart-on. Well, by the way, it doesn't get that hard, but I rarely see it. Well, I've never had it that way, but let's just go that way, heart-on. They have a heart on, they have a desire for a heart on to go with their heart on. They want to experience trust with a partner. And there's fundamental pieces to building trust. This is what I talk about in my private coaching. So if you want to learn the deeper tools to get to trust, there's a link below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Okay. My client, I got to tell you something. I got a call the other day from a client. She is so happy in a relationship. She was just wanted to share with me how valuable our working together, how it changed her life, how she really was able to be way more confident than ever before because we created clarity for her. And now she's in a healthy, happy relationship. So again, links below. All right. Number 3, what that grower builder man seeks is genuine adoration and respect. I put the two together, but there's something about adoring your partner and respecting your partner that men crave in a relationship. And we don't say this up front. We don't say, hey, we desire to be adored. We desire to be respected. You know, these are we kind of have this as like the first equation in geometry. It's a given. But again, everything I'm sharing with you goes for men and women as well. Women desire to be adored and respected by their partner, to be cherished by their partner. This is true for men and women alike. In fact, if you haven't read the book, If the Buddha Dated, I highly recommend reading this book because it throws out all the bullshit gender rhetoric that we've been plagued with and socialized with, and what's caused so many dysfunctional relationships because we're operating based on this masculine and feminine energy bullshit. Okay. To the extent that there's some validity to it, what I'm saying is when you throw out the gender rhetoric and make it about the person, if you want to read a fantastic book, read this book called Personhood. This is the art of being fully human. When you operate as a fully sovereign human being, you don't need to get caught up in the masculine and feminine rhetoric because you're just being your true, authentic self. There's a link below to get this book as well. So number 3 was genuine adoration and respect. Number 4, acceptance of differences. Acceptance of differences. Earlier, I was talking about Monica and Chandler from the TV show Friends. One of the unique aspects of all the characters within Friends is they had unique peculiarities about them. Monica was OCD clean freak. Phoebe was kind of the woo-woo airhead. Rachel was the debutante, if you will, and was all about glamour and that sort of thing. Ross was the brainiac, and he was caught up in dinosaurs. Joey was the lovable player. And Chandler was the guy who had bad jokes, okay? But if you notice throughout the series, what happened was when everyone began accepting the differences, they were actually demonstrating one of the highest forms of love. You see, where most couples have friction is they don't ever reach a place of acceptance on all of their differences. In many cases, it's just maybe even tolerating it, or worse, resenting the differences. See, in the dating marketplace right now, differences are oftentimes deal breakers. Now, some legitimate deal breakers are reasonable, but human beings have these ridiculous, I mean, they're almost like Jerry Seinfeld from the TV show Friends. Does anyone remember Jerry Seinfeld on Friends? He had a reason for breaking up with everyone. She had man hands. She was a close talker. She was a fart talker. She ate her peas with a fork. She walked around naked. Her boobs weren't real. I mean, these were some of the bullshit reasons why he broke up with women. And yet true love is about accepting the differences. If you ever saw the movie Good Will Hunting, the late Robin Williams talks about his wife's picadillos, And what he meant by picadillos is those parts of her personality that maybe she didn't even love about herself. And yet he found not only acceptance of those differences, he reached another layer of love, which was adoration and appreciation, and then finally adoration of those differences. But remember, what we all want to experience is acceptance. And there's an old saying, men marry women hoping they don't change, and women marry men hoping they do change. Oftentimes, ladies, you enter into a relationship thinking that you can change him. And that's where a lot of you find yourselves butting heads at the end of the day. Number 5, this I learned from Bernardo Mendez. I want to give him his props here. He calls it actionable communication. I kind of like this. Ladies, you have a propensity to say in 10,000 words what we can only hear in 100 words, okay? You have this propensity to tell story. You never get to the point, and somehow we're supposed to decipher the message inside of the spaghetti. Men want actionable communication. What they seek is, if you're going to ask us something, then ask us a question. Then you can spend 16 hours with the backstory, because we are focused on the question or whatever it is you desire. It's important to express your need of what you're needing in the moment versus trying to have us figure it out through the pea soup spaghetti that's at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, because it makes no sense to us. If you want to shift what we men desire is actionable communication, or what it's really, what it is clarity. What do you want? Okay. Then you can tell us the story, because we can take a nap during the story and then come back to going, oh, this is what you want. Your answer is A or B or C or D or E or F or G. Actionable communication. Number 6, I think most everybody, men and women alike, would prefer to be with partners who have an agreeable personality without being a doormat. An agreeable personality without being a doormat. I got to tell you, I've experienced this in the dating realm. First dates, I got to tell you how many women are walking in with resting bitch face, and they're literally have just such a disagreeable personality. Now, when I said without being a doormat, what we're talking about also with an agreeable personality is having solid boundaries in your life. We men, it's important that, if we are walking over you, then set a boundary. And I like the way Brene Brown talks about boundaries, what's okay and what's not okay for me. But that agreeable personality, I got to tell you something. Couples who have, I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of men and women who are complainers. They are negative Nellies. They have negative personalities, disagreeable personalities. And if those are, listen, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be blunt. It is no fucking fun being with a person that has a disagreeable personality or a neurotic personality, and that neurosis causes them to be disagreeable. Anyway, does anyone remember Woody Allen? Guy was neurotic as hell. And he had to complain about everything. That complaining, that neurosis is no fun to be with. And number 7, it's a non-sexual desire men usually hide from us. In other words, we want this from women, is true emotional intimacy. True emotional intimacy. For those grower builder men, again, those users and those spenders, those transactional men, they don't want emotional intimacy. But ladies, most of you think you know what emotional intimacy is, but I got to tell you something. I coach women, and I'm here to say, you guys might be great givers in a relationship, but many of you don't really know how to love or communicate your emotions. You must read this book, Emotional Intimacy by Robert Masters. And again, links below to get a copy of all the books I recommend. Learning emotional intimacy is not for the faint of heart. This requires going deep. You know, when I work with when I'm working with a client, it fascinates me how many women don't really know how to go emotionally deep for themselves, let alone with a partner. This is why people go to couples therapy, to evoke it out of them. And I'll share something in a moment that illustrates this point. So again, just to repeat, teammates, all-in relationship. Trust, genuine adoration and respect, acceptance of differences without being a doormat, acceptance of differences, actionable communication, agreeable personality without being a doormat, and last but not least, genuine emotional intimacy. These are what the grower builder men seek. And that's and by the way, grower builder women, grower builder men, they all seek this. And I hope I've given you some insight on how you can approach a future relationship with a different mindset going forward. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If it did resonate with you, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. This is a group where you can have direct access to me on a regular basis. Follow me on Instagram. Get all the books I recommend and Jonathan recommend books, and get my dating vows that are listed below as well. All right, those who know my format, it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat, just like KH did. There's a little $ in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there. He's my son who almost passed away. He passed away almost 6 years ago. And in his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and we give scholarships to coaching as well from the fund. Okay. And our goal tonight is $50 to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. And again, KH got us started. So now we're $45 away from our goal. All right. Let's see what we got here. Joe Daisy says, what if I decide to hold off sex until he offers some kind of commitment? If he doesn't commit until this sex? If he doesn't, well, I guess the most, I would say this is, okay, let me share with you what I say in dating. When I want to be physically intimate with someone, I say, look, I want to let you know how I operate. When I'm physically intimate with someone, I like to be monogamous and exclusive with them. Are you good? You're like, that's how I operate. How do you operate? And if they say, I agree to that, and I go, well, then let's agree to explore a relationship. And when we're physically intimate, we agree to monogamy and exclusivity. That's the first layer of commitment. And within that, I'm perfectly fine calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. But the idea is to explore a deeper relationship through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in our personal or professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy that leads to either moving in together or getting married. And I'd like to spend on average somewhere between 2, 3, 4 days, nights a week together. So on average, 3 to 4 days and nights a week together. We have our own time, and then we each have our own time, but we also spend a significant amount of time together. That's what I operate, and that's what I suggest. But it's not about holding off to sex. It's about making agreements before sex, okay? By the way, if anyone wants to join the Hot Seat Live, I just posted a link right there. You can be live on camera with me hot seat. We can have some fun chatting about whatever you'd like. All right, Sandy's in the house. I met a man in my friend group who likes me, but says he's not ready for a relationship. Why did he ask me to do something the following day if he doesn't want a relationship? Sandy, he most likely likes you as a person. He wants female company. We men may not want a relationship with someone, but we love female company. And sometimes we want to see if we can get laid along the way. So that might be his motive. He just wants female company. Some female company is so much better than male company at times. So that's probably the reason why, but he's either not capable or he doesn't see you as potentially the one. That's the why, most likely. Okay. Great question, Sandy. Billy Lynn Holt is in the house. So I'm supposed to be emotionally intimate, but he's not. How does that work? Please explain. Well, I never said, I said this is mutual for men and women alike. I'm not here to promote one person. So I guess the question is, what does emotional intimacy mean to you? To me, emotional intimacy means being vulnerable, being authentic, being transparent, being radically honest with one another about how you feel about the other person, to be able to share your fears, your insecurities, your doubts in a safe space. That's what emotional intimacy is. If only one person is doing, it's like Chris Rock says, you know, a relationship takes two people. It's really easy to move a couch with two people, but it's really hard to move a couch when only one person is moving the couch. So it takes two people to make emotional intimacy. Hey, look, we've got Kim in the house. I'm really excited.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. Just worked out. Just getting some cooled off here.
Okay. Well, what do you got for me?
I just wanted to say that I think what you're doing is very awesome, very cool, and I appreciate it all. And that's really all I have to say. I've really enjoyed it.
Let's have a conversation about something. So pick a topic and let's talk about it.
Okay, so I joined Bumble today. I was married 28 years.
Okay.
And raised 3 kids, put them through college, and have 2 grandbabies. Okay. And I've been out of the dating field for 6 years. I've been concentrating on myself and, you know, just getting the feel of being independent and taking care of myself for the last 6 years. And now I'm just ready to get back in there. And your videos have helped me a lot.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for your earlier accolades or props. I appreciate that. So, Kim, you were married 28 years, and how long ago did it end?
2018 it started.
Okay, so it's been 6 years, give or take. Okay, yeah. And your children are grown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're ready to I'm assuming you have. Okay, so here's a question. Do you have a short-term mating strategy or a long-term mating strategy?
Absolutely long-term. I'm all in. All in.
Okay. So now I should have said, do you have a short-term desire or a long-term desire? So what I think you're saying is you have a long-term desire, meaning you want an all-in relationship. Okay, good. Now your strategy, you know, some people have a short-term mating strategy. They just want something casual. They may maybe in their back of mind might go at it from a long-term perspective, but a lot of people enter in with a short-term strategy. They are not thinking of the end goal. So these men, for example, men in particular, let's just live in the moment. Let's take it slow. Let's not get too emotionally invested in one another, but they are more than happy to have physical intimacy with you and still want to take it slow emotionally. So that's oftentimes what you're experiencing or might experience. So I just want to put that in your vortex for a second. When you have a long-term mating strategy, one of the first things you have to do is really know who you are. This includes knowing what your love attachment style, when I mentioned the book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, is knowing your attachment style, knowing what triggers you in relationship, knowing what is your greatest fear in relationship. Do you mind sharing your age?
I am 53. I'll be 54 in December. I am not
Okay.
afraid to share my age. I'm proud of my age. I've
Okay.
earned it. I love it.
Okay, excellent. So the
Yeah.
reason why I brought up age for a moment is as people age, they begin to start to have insecurities that they won't be considered desirable to the opposite sex, that they'll be rejected, or that men will continually want younger women. That's one fear. Also, another fear women typically have centers around body image. That tends to be like a top fear for women. Another top fear for women is making poor choice. Let me reframe that. Choosing the wrong man. There is a fear of going down the rabbit hole with the wrong guy. So these are just examples of some fears they have. So knowing who you are, having this self-awareness, both in your fear in the dating marketplace, but also inner fears. Now,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not going to unpack those today, but I just want to give you some ideas. Another thing I've observed within women is a lot of limiting beliefs and negative patterns. They have a propensity to choose men similar to one or both of their parents, oftentimes their father, who is possibly emotionally unavailable. And then they begin to have this belief system that men are emotionally unavailable. There's a whole range of women right now that are completely brainwashed into believing that every man is narcissistic and he's going to use you and gaslight you. These are all limiting beliefs because it is raining great men out there. It is raining great men.
I
Okay.
believe that. I do.
Well, good. So then the question becomes, if recognizing what type of wounds you might have had during childhood. What's interesting, the other day I just did a camp for Father's Day. And what I mean by camp is I got together collectively with a group of 7 people, myself included, making it 8. And we were exploring what was it like to be our father's son or daughter. How are we like our father? How are we different from our parents? What could and most of us, our parents, actually in this group, almost everybody had lost all their parents except for one person.
Yeah.
And the point I'm bringing this up is we've all had micro traumas experienced in childhood that have oftentimes gone unresolved. It's one of the reasons why I recommend the book, The Hoffman Process. Have you looked into this? Because I talk about this frequently.
I am getting ready to order a couple of your books that I want.
Well, everybody who's watching right now, the list of books is in the show notes. The reason why I bring this up, Kim, is to be relationship ready, is to know thyself. It's to know, what are my triggers? What maybe sets me off? So for example, I'll give you one of my triggers. I'm really good at responsive communication. In other words, particularly text message. When people take a long time to text me back, my heightened sense of anxiety gets increased because I think something is wrong. Now, this happens to be my trigger. I'm aware of my trigger. And because of that, I have to manage my emotional regulation system, my emotions, to not go down that rabbit hole of anxiety. But the thing is, I've also observed most humans have poor relationship skills. They don't really have good relationship skills. Women think they're all good communicators. I got to tell you, women are good at vomiting feeling.
Who are not. I know that from my first marriage. I learned that I should have communicated better. I mean, I'm not in marriage. It takes so much give and take, and I've learned that, when you first get split up, it's kind of like you kind of tend to grieve a little bit, and then you go into this, was it my fault, was it his fault? It was
Yeah.
both. It takes two people,
Yeah.
not just one. And
see, now that's oh, I want to I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I have to acknowledge this for everyone. Taking ownership for your part of the ending of the relationship is a critically important piece.
absolutely.
Taking ownership. So few people take ownership. I have to write something down because I'm making a note of the ending. That is such a critically important piece of the puzzle when you can take ownership. So Kim, when you're sitting across the table, you're talking to a man. So, why did you get divorced from your wife? You're asking this question. And he starts saying, oh my God, she was a cheater. She was a bad person. She was an alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. That, by the way, that's a big, gigantic red flag. If a
Absolutely.
man or woman cannot take ownership of their part, and I got to tell you, I talk to women all day long. I mean, I've dated so many women. It seems like every woman I've dated has dated every narcissist on the planet.
Yeah.
So the other thing it's important to know is, what is your must-haves and your deal breakers? Like, know what you really want out of a relationship.
I do, and I've really soul searched this deeply. I don't want the macho dude. I want somebody that's in tune with their feminine energy. I don't like this male female. I mean, I know men are raised that way and women
Sure.
are raised a certain way, but I want them to be in tune with being able to be a goofball, being able to have fun, being able to be there through the sick and good times, because that's the kind of person that I am, and that's what I'm looking for.
So
I'm not gonna
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
So you described kind of an esoteric thing. When I'm talking about really knowing what you want, this is really about understanding yourself and who's compatible with you.
Oh
I got
yeah.
to tell you, Kim, women come to me all the time. Jonathan, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I want in relationship. Then they go through this proprietary coaching program I created. And can you guess what they say every single time doing this work?
I didn't know that what I didn't want. I don't know.
Why didn't my parents teach me this? Why didn't I learn this in school? Why didn't I learn this before I married the wrong guy? I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you something. Most women think of it in a nebulous place. It's in the clouds. When you get granular to understand compatibility, this has the capacity to happen. And I'm not criticizing you. I'm just sharing with you.
Oh,
I've coached thousands of women and they all say the same thing. You got me thinking. The other thing is, it's important to recognize, to be relationship ready, is your desire for a relationship exceeds your fear or your past pains. Okay.
right.
So where are you at with your fear and past pains?
I am not in fear anymore of
Okay.
starting a relationship. I'm not in fear of going all in with the person and becoming emotional, talking about anything and everything. Um, I'm just I'm just ready, and
Okay.
I'm at that standing point where I'm gonna jump. Not with respect. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die without you, because I've been on my own for 6 years now. I've been
Okay.
independent and take care of myself.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be like, I want to share my life with someone. I want to
Okay.
share everything.
By the way, Joe Daisy says, girl, you look fantastic. I don't know if you can see that there,
I didn't
but
see that. Thank
I
you.
want to give you some props. You're very beautiful, Kim.
I've been sweating, working out right now. I just got
Okay,
on
no
because I
worries.
said, go for it.
I
Because
appreciate your bravery.
I think you're so cool, and I just love all your videos. I watch them every night before bed, even the ones from 3 and 4 years ago. I
Okay,
love it.
so all right, so we want to give you a little bit of advice on Bumble, because I'm on Bumble. And let
Okay.
me just share with you one of my biggest frustrations from women from dating sites. Okay. So I don't want you to make the mistakes. If you want a man like a grower builder like myself, you may want to take some notes. Okay. So one of the things that frustrates me to no end is when someone on Bumble, as an example, and since women initiate, is when they just simply say hi. Now, I'm sorry, that just bores the fuck out of me. Hi, how's your day? How's your day? I hope you have a good day. First off, I don't really like someone to tell me how my day should be. You don't have that right. My mother does that, and she's not allowed to do that anymore. So I invite you to use my NICE method, NICE. The N stands for name. Use the person's name in a sentence. The I stands for inquisitive. Ask a question about his profile. The C stands for compliment. Give him a compliment. We men get so, we rarely ever get compliments, ever.
I know. I know.
And lastly, the E stands for emoji, emotion, energy, or enthusiasm. Put a happy emoji on there. Tell them I'm looking forward to hearing from you with a happy emoji. Create some emotion, some enthusiasm, some excitement. As Natty just wrote here, the NICE method, the name, compliment, name, inquisitive, compliment, and enthusiasm. The other thing that bothers me is on Hinge is another site that I'm on. I have 8 women I've responded to in the last 10 days. None of them have responded back to me. And they wrote me first. They wrote me, I responded, and then crickets. It is fucking pissing me off. The level of effort.
Yeah. I don't like that either. If I really like somebody, I'm going to actually talk to them. There are so many people out there that are fake, that don't follow through with like, let's talk on the phone. I want to actually talk to this person. I want to talk. I want to engage, you know. I don't want to do all this ghosting and all that stuff. I'm not that type of person.
So Julianne says online dating is brutal. Ha ha. And Debbie says, I don't like dating apps, but I want to share something with you that's fascinating. I think this is critically important. So my son the other day, my son, there's a picture of him right there. He's 28 years old, and he was on a date with a woman he met on a dating app. And somehow, and I guess they went out where there were a couple of her girlfriends out together. So he's in a group of women, and the women said something that fascinated him. And he said, young women today don't meet men organically anymore. They are so used to online dating. They are so used to online dating that they feel they need to know the data, like, you know, the age, the location, the height, the profession, all the little, you know, data points that are, and so young women today are very reluctant to meet men organically. And it occurs to me, we've been now so socialized, and younger people are rather socially inept in social settings outside. But then it occurred to me, I went to Trader Joe's today. I went grocery shopping. I have my head down. I'm focused. You know, there was a woman there that for a nanosecond, I mean, I go, oh, she's kind of cute, but I'm not going to interrupt her. So this whole belief system, you'll bump into someone at the grocery store. That's not even, that's almost like Dumb and Dumber when he says, you've got a 1 in a million chance to, you know, score with me. And he goes, so you're saying I have a chance, right? Like, meeting organically is radically rare. We don't know anything about a person when we meet a stranger organically. At least with online dating, we have some data points that we can determine some compatibility. But people are poo-pooing and rejecting dating sites, and it still happens to be the #1 place people are meeting today for those of us in midlife. It is the #1 place by 1,000-fold. In other words, 50-60% of people are meeting online. Very few people are meeting organically. It's very rare we get fixed up by friends. Occasionally, if you're in some sort of social gathering, you will get to meet someone, but that's the exception, not the rule. So my point is, Kim, dating sites are brutal, like Josie said. Okay, they are brutal. Okay, but they're still the best game in town.
Yeah, I mean, I've you know, I've been out there and I've been out shopping, and there was a guy on a motorcycle the other day that smiled and waved at me, but that's all it ever amounts to. I mean, you know, nobody comes up and says, hey, would you like to go out? And most of my friends are married, or they've moved away, you know, they're raising kids, or some of them even have a friend that just now had a baby and 47, you know, like it's all different. So many different things now. So like, this is why I thought, well, I'm going to try it and see what happens.
Okay. I want to say Debbie Mueller says, guys have contacted me through Facebook Messenger when we are on Facebook chats. By the way, I do want to say Facebook is actually a better way to meet people, because usually there's a 1 degree of separation of somebody that you might know. Laura goes on to say, I'm always looking around while I shop. Well, looking around doesn't do shit unless you walk up to someone, because a man like me, is, got his head buried when you're shopping. So it's great that, Laura, you're looking around. But are you doing something about it? And just keep in mind, if you did walk up to somebody and there's not an interest, he might be polite, but might not take it anywhere. Well, Kim, I really appreciate your bravery to be on, to share, to listen to my data points, to explore this from a different mindset. So do you have any parting questions you have, or parting shares?
No, just keep up what you're doing. I so enjoy it. I think you're so cool. And I just look forward to it every day, every night, just listening. And I just think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. Can I give you, first off, before I forget, if this was valuable to you, I'd love a donation to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. I'll post the link right here again for you. No, you just hit the little $sign in the chat box, okay?
Thank you.
All right, big hugs, Kim. Thank you so much.
Good one.
All right. You know what? She was certainly brave to jump on and allow me to pontificate a little bit of my love scale. One of the things I was just sharing with her is the know thyself piece. And it sounds to me that she seems to be emotionally grounded. She has a good head on her shoulders. She's taken ownership of her past relationships. She takes ownership on her part. She's coming at this with a positive mindset, almost a beginner's mindset. In other words, not coming at it with such negativity as so many people are experiencing today. So I want to give Kim a big props. If you found value in what I shared with Kim, post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you did find value in it, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. Hey, and if you want to connect with me based on what I just shared, schedule a link, or there's a link below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Everything's in my show notes below. All right. Thanks again, Kim. All right. Let's see what we have here in questions. Gina says, I compliment all the time. Natty says the nice method works. Julianne earlier said, I see what you're saying. I just think the hidden gems aren't online. I'm online. I've got 10 women who wrote me. I responded back, and I've got crickets. Let me tell you, the gems are online. I'm one of them. And let me tell you, the ladies can be the flaky ones. Mystic Tarot Card Cafe Tea Time with Lola says, another point, if they don't have anything in their bio, left, meaning swipe left, not interested. If they don't know what they want, how can you? Left, they definitely check location versus residency. If they can be deceiving, no airports. Again, you do. One of the things I teach is discernment, but one of the things I teach in my private coaching, I teach you how to look at a dating profile and vet them in a matter of 5 seconds. That's something I teach in my private coaching. By the way, I'd love some love for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Hit that little $sign in the chat box and donate to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. I'd appreciate that. Gina, why don't family or friends try to fix you up anymore? First off, my family doesn't know anybody. My friends, they mostly know other married people. The fact is I have friends. I'm using me as the example here, but so often we just don't have a person that we might know a few single people. But the reality is unless you're swimming in single people, like I met a great man. He's 40 years old, wouldn't work for the 60-year-old women I all know, 50 and 60-year-old women. But I did meet a single 40-year-old man recently. Lisa Cunningham is in the house. Why don't you already said that. Fix me up. I don't know the answer to that. They just don't know anyone. Annette Paul says, I have met a lot of nice guys on Facebook dating. Not all are compatible, but several successful conversations that led to a meetup. I had a fantastic conversation with a woman from Instagram. She just happens to live 3,000 miles away. I would date her in a heartbeat, but she has a full life where she lives, and I have a full life where I live. Hey, I want to give Julianne some props for the $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jonathan. Do you think online dating creates more fear of missing out, though? Fear of missing out. You know, I'm going to tell you what online dating creates what's called the paradox of choice. The paradox of choice. Someone write this down in the chat box. Paradox of choice. Then I want you to go to YouTube, type in paradox of choice, and watch the TED Talk about this. It's not about dating and relationships, but it applies to this, which is the same thing. We have this false sense of abundance. This is why people treat each other. I got to tell you something. People treat someone at the grocery store 1,000 times nicer than they treat people online. There's such a disrespect online. Unfortunately, this is okay, I'm such a big proponent of online dating. At the same time, it's like I know all the traps, okay? I know all the landmines. If you can avoid the landmines, you can traverse to the other side of the football field. That's that's what my coaching is all about. KH said, Jonathan, you're so cool. I like your honesty so much. Thank you. Lisa Cunningham says, you are a rarity. I'm not one of a kind, but I certainly have a warped mind. There's no doubt about it. KH just gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Jennifer says, any advice for my first trip to see my friend, man? I packed and ready to roll tomorrow. More excited. Don't let the penis go inside the vagina until you have at least agreed to monogamy and exclusivity. That's my advice to you. Have fun is my advice. Joe Daisy says, sometimes I'd like to think it's all about chance and magic, but I get that it really takes work. I'd love to do the Hoffman process. Isn't the definition of luck where preparation meets opportunity? Isn't that luck? Preparation, doing the work, meets opportunity. Opportunity lies online. You know, it's interesting. This morning, I got a really long, nice message from a woman on Bumble. Actually, first she swiped on me. I'm on Bumble where I paid to see unswiped, and I looked at her profile. And there was just something about the profile, an intangible. It wasn't about what she wrote. And quite frankly, her pictures were okay at best. But there was something like I saw her. I can't describe this. It was an intangible. So I went ahead and swiped. 10 minutes later, I got this long message. First off, she acknowledged the loss of my son because I stated in the profile. She mentioned some things about her life, and she asked a question. Immediately, my rabbit ears perked up, okay? My rabbit ears perked up because she followed my nice message. Nice method. She used my name. She asked a question. She complimented me, and there was a little bit of enthusiasm. One of the things I appreciate was she spelled my name properly. I can't tell you how many times people misspell my name. So, and we've had a dialogue going on. I have no idea where it's going to go, but it's interesting because when you have an in-depth conversation with someone, when you start with depth, it creates an opportunity for depth. Okay. Bauer at Cheese says, I hope she doesn't ask you for any money. That's not happened. Lisa wants to remind everyone paradox of choice. Julianne wants everyone to look up paradox of choice on YouTube, and it's a TED Talk. Okay. Let's keep going here. Montana Mystic says, excuse me. I followed your advice and met a gentleman at a nice local bar, and online profile said he was 67 years old. In reality, he was 78. Okay. Yes, people, one of the things, oh, by the way, I think you should ask before you meet, would you be willing to disclose your actual age? Like, we should ask that before you ever meet them. Don't take it on face value. Now, I know, Jonathan, if someone lies on his dating profile, that means they're a liar. Let me just share something with everybody. I have yet to meet the perfect person who has never lied in their life. Everybody has fucking lied in their life. Stop making this out as being this overly dramatic misrepresentation. Look, he didn't want to be rejected at being 78. He didn't want to be rejected. So he put 67. You could have texted him saying, hey, is 67 your actual age? And then if he lies to you, didn't have to meet. Folks, stop being naive. I ask first off, okay, I get riled up on this. Most everybody over 45 years old fudges on their age. And I don't care who the fuck you are. Most women do it. Most men do it. It's pretty much commonplace, okay? If you don't know this by now, hearing these words come out of my mouth, you should know that most everybody fudges on their age a couple years. 10 years is too much, in my opinion. But 5 years is pretty much, consistently the norm, okay, for the most part. I know you don't like it. I know you can criticize it, but just get fucking over it. This is one of those, it's like, do I look fat in those jeans? Yeah, you look fat, but we're going to lie to you anyway, okay? All right, Janie X is in the house. If someone responds with an obvious generic boilerplate long text about then self and take compliments, should I bother to respond? What do you consider long distance? First off, it doesn't hurt to respond. It doesn't matter if it's boilerplate or not. Look, I kind of have a boilerplate because I've said the same thing over and over again, okay? So it's very natural. What do I consider long distance? Here in Los Angeles, 5 miles is long distance. Actually, anything that takes more than 30 minutes to an hour to drive to, anything longer than that, I mean, from Los Angeles, 30 minutes is like literally 5 to 10 miles, okay? But that's still doable. If it's more than an hour-long car ride, that is long distance. If it's more than an hour plane ride, that's long distance. If it's more than 5-hour plane ride, that's long distance. If it's a 12-hour plane ride, it's long distance, okay? Now, the question is, the shorter that long distance, the more probability of relationship success. And just remember, proximity breeds continuity, and continuity builds trust. Let me repeat that. Proximity breeds continuity, and continuity leads to trust. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. This will probably be the last question of the evening from Lisa Lennon. I met a guy the other night. After seeing 21 white Teslas, I took myself out. LOL. By the way, folks, I have a joke about when you see a lot of white Teslas. He made some joke about getting married. Text saying he misses me. Is this love bombing? So I want you to Google the word limerence. Limerence. Limerence means extreme infatuation. I will tell you, when I really, really like someone, I do love bombing. It's just overexcitement. My mother said my dad love bombed her, okay? They were married 66 years. My dad love bombed her. He also said her mother taught her to take everything a man says with a grain of salt, was an old, term. Take it with a grain of salt. Could he be love bombing? Possibly. Could he be excited? Possibly. Could he be trying? If he's focused on sex, he's trying to get in your pants. If he says he misses you, it could simply mean he might be, amped up on chemicals. And this is a guy you wait till you have sex with him. That's what you do with this guy. Okay, Lisa, I wish you luck with him as well. Wait a minute. Here, I just saw something. Bear with me. T. Ryder says, I hate to tell you, if people know your name, where you live, they can find out your name and your age online. Yes. By the way, Literally only had a woman's first name and the city she lived in. I found her online and she was fudging on her profile by 3 years. But that doesn't freak me out. My God, why get so bent out of shape over that shit? All right, Janie X gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Folks, did you find value in this conversation? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. If you did find value, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's a link below in the show notes. Schedule a discovery call. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Find me on Instagram, get my dating vows, get all the books I recommend. They're listed below. And I'm going to sign off this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Power of Chi and Sandra and Nicola and Debbie Mueller and Lisa Cunningham and Julianne and Joe Daisy and Power of Chi and Jane X and everyone who donated, Annette Paul and Mystic, Montana Mystic, and Mystical Tarot Cafe, Tea Time with Lola, Linda, Lillian, Rays of Sunshine. Who else? KH. Thank you for the donation. Everyone, big hugs. Wishing you a super duper wonderful, fantastic evening. Bye now.